welcome to GC 365. We're on day 27, January 27th, which is awesome.
Yeah, congratulations for making it almost a month. If you're caught up, if you're not, you got time to catch up. It's still early.
It's okay. If you're behind, it's fine. Just keep going. Just stick with it. You'll get there. So yeah, we get to talk about the 27th, which has some Exodus in it, a little bit of Moses and thinking he can't, as usual, like questioning himself a little bit. And then it leads into him going to see the Pharaoh with his brother Aaron. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And that leads us into Matthew.
Yep, Matthew. James and John are asking Jesus who's the greatest. They're arguing because they want front and center. They want to be Jesus's best buddy.
Yeah. Always seems like the disciples are always kind of, who's going to sit by the, who's at the right hand? Who's going to get, who's the best? Who's your favorite disciple?
Who's your favorite? Yeah. And
so then we
Jesus
get into,
kind of puts them in their place a little bit.
Yeah. And then we get into Psalms, which of course is asking for help and save me, spare me, like all the things that we all need all the time, right? Like Jesus and God to help us get through our hard times. So we've got a little bit of that.
And then we get into Proverbs.
Yeah. And that one's, I don't mind talking about it because it's about your wife. So
there might be a little language in there that we
maybe we'll
might have to air it after midnight, little GC after dark.
Yeah, well, that might come a little later. But we're going to dig in. So John, what are some of your ahas out of Exodus?
I think we can all kind of relate to Moses. God sitting there saying, Moses, here's what's going to happen. Here's what I want you to do. And Moses is arguing with God, telling him, God, I can't talk in front of people. I'm not worthy of this. I'm not qualified. And I think we can all kind of relate to that a little bit.
Arguing with God. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I never question or argue with God. You?
Quite often, actually.
And so
but that's all right. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, right?
And then you were just saying about Moses saying, I can't do it. I mean, I'm not qualified. I don't have the right skills. It's not on the job application like that. I don't do that. Have you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. If you know Nod and I, you know that it's been kind of a long 22 years of marriage, almost 23 years, and long for Nod, 23 of the longest years of her life, probably. But I've struggled with not feeling adequate, not feeling qualified. And it takes looking past what you can see and really listening to God to get there.
Yeah.
Getting out of your own way. And
I find it really fascinating. In fact, we didn't actually introduce ourselves. I'm Naudia. This is Jon. I think you've got that. And we go to the Mill Creek campus. So, and like Jon just said, we've been married 22 years. And this not being good enough, we've both been affected by that throughout our marriage. But it's fascinating to me because Jon's talking about Exodus and Moses not feeling adequate and not qualified. And then we fast forward to Matthew and the disciples asking, who's the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Who's the greatest? Always wanting to know. And then Jesus stops and talks to them about, listen, you need to put your sin aside and you need to be like the little children. And we have 3 kids. So our youngest is 5 and he is a firecracker and his name's Archer and he thinks he can do and be anything, right?
He is confident that he can do anything. He thinks he's Spider-Man half the time.
Yeah, and he doesn't think we notice that he's not Spider-Man sometimes. So he thinks he can be Spider-Man. He thinks he can do all these things. That's how little kids are. They have such imagination. They think that they can do anything. They can be Spider-Man. They can be a doctor. They could be the president. They can be their scribbles are the most amazing art that you've ever seen, which is incredible. And they could be dinosaurs. They could just do anything. And you have Jesus saying, you need to be like the children. And then that takes me back to Moses going, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I can't speak. I can't do all these things. And it's like, God gave you these amazing talents and he wants you to use them. And then you have Jesus saying, listen, if you could just think like the children, if you could just look beyond, it actually reminds me of, if you've seen Patch Adams, I don't know, I know you've seen Patch Adams. There's this scene in Patch Adams where it's the old guy and he's, he's cranky and all these things. And Patch Adams comes in and he wants to know the answer for the fingers. He's saying, well, look at the fingers, look at the fingers.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Yeah.
How many fingers do you see?
And Patch finally, he comes in and he fixes his cup with a piece of tape. And so the old man, like, okay, fine, fine. So he takes him and he's like, look at the fingers, look. And Patch is going, four fingers. No, look at me, look beyond the fingers. And he finally looks beyond the fingers and he sees and says 8. And it's like, that's what God wants the disciples. Jesus wants the disciples, and God wants Moses to see is beyond the fingers. See what you can't see. Because
choose to see what nobody else sees.
Yeah.
And that's where, as adults, I think we get clouded by our own shortcomings and perceived failures. We get caught up in
the box,
putting ourselves in a box that we think we have to be,
act a certain way, live a certain lifestyle, do a certain thing. We have to have this job and do this thing, and we have to live within this box. And both God is saying to Moses and Jesus is saying to disciples, see beyond, think like a child, have the faith like a child. It's funny too, because faith is exactly that, seeing beyond, seeing what's not there. And we as adults look at, it's right here. It's
get
on
our
my
blinders
checklist.
on.
Yeah. It's on, we have to have it on the checklist. And the Bible just reminds us that we have to look beyond the fingers and just see what most people don't see, I could go on about that all day.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so then we were kind of leading into Proverbs, and we're like, how are we going to relate this stuff to Proverbs? So if you haven't read it, it's a little language in there that maybe we won't say on here about how, to treat your wife, but
basically it's, fellas, act like your wife is good enough. Tell her she's qualified through your actions.
Be captivated. It says captivated.
Show her that she's the one.
Yeah. It makes me, like what you were just saying, so it makes me think about that whole be captivated. If you tell your wife how amazing she is, how beautiful she is, how many gifts and talents she has in your own words, however that is for you, but you give her the confidence that she needs, like what God wants for Moses, to be all that she can be in the marriage. And I just think that is so powerful, because women are often, men too, but oftentimes in our social media and in the media in general, we see all these things that we can't live up, and we're not good enough and pretty enough and clothes and size and all this stuff. But this proverb is talking about be captivated by your wife. And I say,
the reality is that you are good enough.
Yeah. And show her that.
And
then she'll have the confidence, like Moses, right? It's just like Moses. Moses needed that confidence that God had in him. And we need the confidence, our faith, to see beyond, just like
we could see in ourselves what God sees in us.
Yeah. We'd all be in a good place. So, like we said, there's some more stuff in Proverbs, but that's for the GC After Dark version that we won't be going into here.
Husbands and wives, you might want to go read that later on.
Husbands mostly. So I think that's good. I think we hopefully we put a little bit of thoughts out there for you to think about, and we hope that you just keep going and working your way through the Bible in a year. And just like God was saying, just be confident that it's okay if you don't have all the right skills, you're not feeling qualified and you're missing your readings or whatever. Just keep doing it. Just keep showing up. Just keep being you. And that is enough.